Hi everyone. In today's video, we will be dealing with one of the most important playwrights of the postmodern period. Harold Pinter is very important from a net point of view and also from a literary point of view, because we know that in June 2020 we have got 3 questions, and that too solely from Harold Pinter and one of his most important work, that is the Birthday Party. And apart from that, if we consider the literary side of Harold Pinter, he won the Nobel Prize in 2005, and therefore we can regard him as one of the most important and most significant writer of the postmodern age. So it is very important, since you are preparing for your NTA NET exam, it's very important for you to cover this playwright, since you can expect questions from Harold Pinter. So about Harold Pinter, he was born in the year 1930 and died in the year 2008. So in this video we will be dealing with some things related to Harold Pinter, and in the next session we will be dealing with some important works published by him and written by him, and then we will be dealing with the questions that were asked for NTA exams regarding Harold Pinter and his plays. So about Harold Pinter, he was born in the year 1930 and died in the year 2008. So about Pinter, he was a British playwright, a screenwriter, a director and an actor, and he won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2005. So please remember the year in which he won the Nobel Prize. So in 2005, he died in the year 2008, and 3 years back he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And there are certain terms that are related to Harold Pinter, and one such term is the Comedy of Menace. The Comedy of Menace is actually a phrase used to describe the works written by some writers, especially Harold Pinter. So about the Comedy of Menace, the term was coined by drama critic Irving Wardle while reviewing Pinter's plays. So if you look at all the plays of Harold Pinter, or even if you look at some of the few important plays of Pinter, you would find certain common characteristics in all his works, or you would find certain common features that he shared with all his other works. So while such analysis, you can find that the drama critic Irving Wardle, he coined the term Comedy of Menace in order to describe the techniques used by Harold Pinter. So Pinter was the author of 29 plays and 15 dramatic sketches, and the co-author of 2 works for stage and radio. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So Pinter, he was the author of 29 plays and 15 dramatic sketches, and the co-author of 2 works for stage and radio. So he has got a very rich career with him, and we can say that he had written 29 plays. So he is a very important playwright of that time, and among these 29 plays, the 5 of his plays are very important, and you also have to look at the names of all of his plays, but still you have to focus on certain important plays in depth of Harold Pinter. So now let's have a detailed look on what is the Comedy of Menace. So Comedy of Menace, it's a body of plays written by David Campton, Nigel Dennis, N.F. Simpson and Harold Pinter. So these are the other writers who share these common features with Harold Pinter. So we have David Campton, Nigel Dennis, N.F. Simpson and Harold Pinter. And when we speak of Comedy of Menace, there is a very fine definition given by Pinter himself, that is the weasel under the cocktail cabinet. The weasel under the cocktail cabinet. So that is what Comedy of Menace, or that is what he tries to indent in his works. So, a comedy of menace is a play in which the laughter of the audience in some or all situations is accompanied or immediately followed by a feeling of some impending disaster. Okay, so that is why he said the weasel under the cocktail cabinet. So, if we look at this cocktail cabinet, I mean, if we look at the table, the cocktail glasses would be really small, it would be really, I mean, a minor in quality, but if we look at the weasel under the cabinet, it would be large. Okay, so that is the case of the comedy of menace. Okay, so the laughter of the audience, if you are giving the audience a chance to laugh, you can find that there would be a disaster following it, or the audience are really afraid to laugh because of this feeling of an incoming disaster. Okay, so that is what is called as comedy of menace. A comedy of menace is a play in which the laughter of the audience in some or all situations is accompanied or immediately followed by a feeling of some impending disaster. So, we can say that the menace proceeds from potential or actual violence in the play, or from an underlying sense of violence throughout the play. So, it could be an actual violence, at the same time it could be also an underlying sense of violence. That means something is going to happen, okay, this is not going to end well, something is going to happen. So, that is the feel that you can find in the comedy of menace. Or the menace may proceed from a feeling of uncertainty and insecurity. The play has different elements of drama, it is therefore the metaphysical and also symbolical. So, we can say that the menace, okay, so here we can say that the menace it proceeds from a feeling of uncertainty and insecurity. If you ask the audience to laugh at some point of the play, they are actually afraid to laugh because they know that some disaster is going to happen. This disaster may happen, might happen, or it might not happen, but the thing is that this feeling of something wrong is going to happen would be there always, I mean would be the consistent feeling throughout the play. Okay, so that is what is called as the comedy of menace. So, I will read once again. The menace proceeds from potential or actual violence in the play, or from an underlying sense of violence throughout the play. For example, if you watch a violence at the beginning of the play, you always have a tendency to expect the same extent of violence throughout the play, so that you wouldn't be at ease while watching this play. So, it could be either in that way, or even if there is no actual violence happening in the play, there is often a feeling of uncertainty that it would happen soon. For example, if you look at the works of Harold Pinter, you can find that there would always be limited number of characters, and these limited number of characters, they would either be assassins, or they would either be some murderers, or they wouldn't be they are not the people who belong to the good side of the society. Okay, so from the audience, they always have a tendency to believe that okay, they are going to assassinate something, or something bad is going to happen. So, at certain time nothing might happen, okay, nothing might happen, and the play ends with all uncertainties, but the thing is that the feeling that is there throughout the play. So, that is the comedy of menace. And from this comedy of menace, there was a question that was asked in June 2020 exam, that is, which one of the following statements is appropriately true of Harold Pinter's plays? Which one of the following statements is appropriately true of Harold Pinter's plays? So, you have to identify the proper type of menace in Harold Pinter's works. Menace is in the air and it leads to bloody violence. Menace is in the air and it leads to bloody violence. Menace is in the air and it is realized through the female characters. Menace is in the air but it is not pinned down or explained. Menace is in the air and anarchy follows in a systematic manner. Okay, so these are our 4 options and we have to identify which is the correct menace that happens in Harold Pinter's play. If you look at the first option, menace is in the air and it leads to bloody violence. So, if you look at the works of Harold Pinter, you can find that the first part is right. Menace is always in the air when it comes to Harold Pinter's works, but it never led to a bloody violence. You couldn't find any violent scenes in the works of Harold Pinter. Then the second one is, so that's not a correct statement. The second one is menace is in the air and it is realized through the female character. So, if you look at the works of Harold Pinter, you know that that's also an incorrect statement because it's never revealed, it is never realized through these female characters. Coming to the third statement, menace is in the air but it is not pinned down or explained. So that is what is a true statement of Harold Pinter's plays. Menace is always there in the air. Throughout the play, the menace is in the air but it is not pinned down or it is not explained. Okay, it is not pinned down or it is not explained, but the audience is always have a feeling that something is going to happen. Menace is in the air and anarchy follows in a systematic manner. That is also a wrong statement. So we can say that the correct answer is option 3. Menace is in the air but it is not pinned down or explained in any of the works of Harold Pinter's plays. Okay, the next concept that you have to keep in your mind. So at first we dealt with Comedy of Menace, then we are going to have a look on Pinteresque. So we know that the term Pinteresque, it's termed after Harold Pinter's name, Pinter. So Pinteresque is actually an adjective. Okay, Pinteresque, it's an adjective used to describe the works or resembling or characteristic of the works of the English playwright Harold Pinter, in particular by having a sense of menace and featuring dialogue marked by many pauses. So we can say that Pinter pauses. Pinter pauses is one of the important literary tool used by or device used by Harold Pinter in his plays in order to create an effect. So this Comedy of Menace combined with this Pinter poses, so all these things are combined to create an identity. Okay, it gives him a uniqueness, and this uniqueness, if someone else following it, we normally use this adjective to point out. So when I say Pinteresque, Pinteresque is an adjective used to describe the works that resembles the works of Harold Pinter or the characteristics or the features that are used by Harold Pinter in his plays. So that is what is called as Pinteresque. Okay, so resembling or characteristic of the works of the English playwright Harold Pinter, in particular by having a sense of menace and featuring dialogue marked by many poses. So Pinter poses, it is a sense of place and minimalism. So if we speak about Pinter pose, a Pinter pose is a radical device that Pinter frequently incorporated into his plays. Okay, so if we look at the plays of Pinter, you can find these Pinter poses, and as we said, the Pinter poses, it's like a silence. Okay, and there are 3 types of silence: ellipsis, a pause, and finally a silence. So a Pinter pose, it is a radical device that Pinter frequently incorporated into his plays. Often when we search for the right words, we pause. Okay, for example, if we are casually talking with each other and we need to think of what should we say next, then we often have a silence. But in the plays you can find that these silence are not that emphasized. But in Harold Pinter's work you can find that this pause he used as a literary technique in order to give that effect. Okay, so that is what is called as pause here. And sometimes we have no comment at all, remaining completely silent. This is exactly what Pinter pursued in his plays, a rejection of perfection in favor of realism. Because for example, if you look at the works of William Shakespeare, you can find that the word flow, it's actually tremendous. I mean, it's really good, but that's not realistic according to Harold Pinter. He says that being that perfect is in fact not something that is realistic. So here you can find that if we normally speak with someone and we have to pause for the right words, we normally give it a moment to think, or we normally give it a pause. And at the same time, if we don't have to make any comments at all, we also remain silent. So silence, it has got different meanings, it has got different effects. So here that silence is used by Harold Pinter in order to show that in order to show his rejection of perfection in favor of realism. And the 3 types of silence, that is ellipsis, a pause, and a silence. So you can find that in a Pinter script, an ellipsis is denoted by 3 dots. Okay, so an ellipsis is denoted by a 3 dots, and it is used by the playwright to show a slight hesitation. Okay, if you want to speak something but you are thinking about whether to say it or not, you can find this ellipse as a 3 pause. So that is what is called as ellipse. The next one is a pause. So a pause was like a much longer hesitation. Okay, it was like a much longer hesitation that his mind is thinking that I shouldn't speak it. Okay, so that is what is called as a pause, a much longer hesitation used by Pinter to give a much more careful utterance, so careful depiction. And then we have this silence. As full on silence is something that he uses when he has got nothing else to say, when he says that he is retiring. So these three poses can be found, or these three types of silence are together known as this Pinter pose. So these are the two important concepts or two important phrases that you have to remember while we are dealing with Harold Pinter. So remember, the first one is the Comedy of Menace. His plays belongs to the genre of Comedy of Menace along with some other writers, because there is a menace that is in the air throughout the play, which is neither explained, which is neither explained nor pinned down. And then we have the Pinteresque, which is actually an adjective. Okay, it's Pinteresque, which is actually an adjective used to describe the features of which the works that resembles the works of Harold Pinter, especially the Pinter poses. Now let's move on to the next section, that is the notable works written by Harold Pinter. Okay, the notable works written by Harold Pinter. So we wouldn't be dealing with all the works written by him because he has written almost 29 plays. So in our LMS platform, I have given the detailed analysis of each plays and also an in-depth summary and the character sketch of all the playwrights. So in this video, we will be dealing with some important plays written by him and some important facts regarding to that plays. So the notable works, the first one is the Dumb Waiter. Okay, the Dumb Waiter, it was first performed in the year 1959. So it is a one-act play. So one thing that you have to keep in mind regarding Harold Pinter is that he normally uses the technique of minimalism. He uses very less number of characters, very less number of scenes and acts in order to express what he really wants to say. So the Dumb Waiter was published in the year 1959. It was a one-act play with two characters, that is Ben and Gus. Okay, so Ben and Gus, when the play begins, we know that they are hired goons, they are hired assassins, and they are waiting for their victim, and they have been not told about who the victim is. So it's really basically about the conversations between this Ben and Gus, the two hired goons or two hired assassins who are waiting for being waiting for the orders of their next project. So that is the Dumb Waiter, and towards the end of the page you can find that they receive two phone calls where Ben is asked to shoot Gus and Gus is asked to shoot Ben. Though that is not clearly explained, we can find that the play ends with both of them pointing the gun at each other. Okay, so that's what I said, since they are hired goons, there is often a feeling that something wrong is going to happen. Okay, and this also ends with its uncertainty, where we are not sure about whether their order is correct or whether they are asked to kill each other. So that is the Dumb Waiter, 1959, which is a one-act play with two characters, Ben and Gus, the hired assassins. And the Birthday Party, 1957, is regarded to be one of the most important work written by Harold Pinter and the most famous work written by him. And in the last 2020 June exam, you can find many questions asked from this particular play by Pinter. So the Birthday Party, the protagonist of the play is Stanley Webber. So we can find that all the characters, especially of the postmodern age, not just of Pinter, are normally anti-heroes. They don't have any features of the heroes, but simply the life of a normal man who doesn't follow any values or ethics, but just struggling to survive. So the play is about Stanley Webber, an erstwhile piano player who lives in a rundown boarding house run by Meg and P.T. Bowles. Okay, so the story is about Stanley Webber, who was a piano player, and he lives in the house of Meg and P.T. Bowles, and there you can find that two strangers, Goldberg and McCann, they arrive looking for him. Okay, and they arrive looking for him on his birthday, and here they decided to celebrate his birthday and they arrange a birthday party. So the play reveals about what happens between them during this birthday party, the games they play and how they prick at each other, and what are the two intentions of Goldberg and McCann. And you can find that they finally manages to turn this birthday party into an utter chaos or into a disaster. So that is what happens in this play, The Birthday Party. And also you can find that in our note section I have added the summary of the birthday party. So go through the you have to have a very in-depth knowledge of the birthday party while you are preparing for your NET exam. So the birthday party, 1957, about Stanley Weber, who lives in the house of Meg and P.T. Bowles, who get visited by two strangers, Goldberg and McCann, on his birthday, and they decided to celebrate his birthday, and that is what this title calls as the birthday party. And the games they play and what does that symbolizes, and how this birthday party turns into a disaster, how they prick each other. So that is what happens in this birthday party. In June 2020, there was a question: what game do the characters play in Act 2 of Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party? What game do the characters play in Act 2 of Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party? So the correct answer is Blind Man's Buff. Okay, so while they are all being in the birthday party, so this is why I said that you have to have a very in-depth knowledge of the play, because you can expect questions from the simples, the motives, the themes, etc. of such works. So here the blind man's buff is important because towards the end of the play towards the end of the party they decided to play this. And this blind man's buff, it's like a you all might have played this game, that the one character who, one of the guys who are playing it would be blindfolded, and they are supposed to catch each other. So that's what happens in blind man's buff. So here you can find that the party, it culminates with a game of blind man's buff, during which McCann further taunts Stanley by breaking his glasses and trapping his foot in a toy drum, and Stanley wants to blindfold himself from his past and present, and all the other characters enjoy this hiding. So it is when they play this blind man's buff, you would get to know that all these characters, they try to live their life in hiding. Okay, if the case of Weber, he wanted to hide from all the past of his life, and that's also the case for these two strangers. And similarly, everyone here enjoys this blind man's buffing because they all wanted not to be seen, they all wanted to be blind towards their reality. So that is blind man's buff. So we can say that that is the game that they play towards the end of this party. So the answer is option 3, blind man's buff. So while you are dealing with such plays, I really wanted you to have an idea about how you can expect questions from a postmodern age and a postmodern writer and from his work. So I hope you will get an idea about this. And in the same exam, there was a question: in Harold Pinter's play The Birthday Party, who suggests the idea of having a birthday party? In Harold Pinter's play The Birthday Party, who suggests the idea of having a birthday party? So we have Meg, we have Goldberg, we have Lulu, and we have McCann. So here we know that Goldberg and McCann, they are the strangers, and they come to taunt this Weber on his birthday, and they really wanted to cause some chaos during this party, and that is why they decided to conduct a birthday party. So the correct answer is option 2, Goldberg. So Goldberg decides to conduct. It is the idea of Goldberg to have a birthday party. Now coming to the next play, that is The Caretaker. The Caretaker was published in the year 1959. It is a 3-act play which deals with the psychological study of the confluence of power, allegiance, innocence and corruption among two brothers and a tramp. Okay, so here we have Haston. Haston has invited Davies. Davies is a homeless man, and when Haston finds Davies, he feels certain empathy towards Davies being a homeless man, and he invites him to his flat. and Aston rescues him from a bar fight, but he finds it is so hard to satisfy the likes and the needs of the stranger, because we can find that Davis is such an irritating character, because Davis, though he is homeless, he is being saved by Aston, he is brought to Aston's home, but still Aston finds it so difficult to satisfy the likes of Davis, because Davis is a highly demanding character here. Okay, so this is what happens in the Caretaker. Then the next play is The Homecoming. The Homecoming is a 2-act play which has got a total number of 6 characters. So here we have Max. Max is a retired butcher, and his brother Sam, a chauffeur, and Max's 3 sons, Teddy, Lenny and Joy. Okay, so this is what happens here, and the story revolves around the homecoming of one of his sons and his wife. So here we have the 6 characters. One is Max, then one is Sam, then we have Teddy, Lenny and Joy, and you can find that Teddy comes home with his wife, and that is how the title called as The Homecoming. So Max is a retired butcher, and he has got his brother Sam, who is a chauffeur, and Max has got 3 sons. Teddy is a philosophy professor in United States, and Lenny is a pimp who only makes discreet references to his occupation and his client and flats in the city. And then we have Joy is a brute training to become a professional boxer, and he works in demolition. So these are the characters in Homecoming. So the entire story happens on the basis of the homecoming of Teddy and his wife. Okay, so that is about Homecoming. So in this video we have discussed about Harold Pinter. So about Harold Pinter, at first you have to remember the 2 terms that are associated with Pinter. One is Comedy of Menace. So you have to know what is Comedy of Menace. You have to know the characteristics and features of the Comedy of Menace, and who are the writers who belong to that particular genre, because you can expect questions from Comedy of Menace. And then the next term is Pinteresque. Pinteresque is actually an adjective used to describe the techniques or literary devices used by Pinter in his works, especially what is called as the Pinter poses. So as I said, the Pinter poses can be divided, or the silence can be divided into an ellipse, a pose and a silence. Okay, and then we dealt with the important works written by him, and the most important work and the works that has been asked repeatedly for the net exam were the 5 plays. So we discussed about the plays, and the most important play was The Birthday Party, and apart from that we have The Caretaker, we have The Homecoming, so on. So you have to, while you are preparing from Harold Pinter, you have to look at the important works. You have to have an in-depth knowledge, because in this video I hope you got an idea about how you can expect questions from a postmodern writer and his works. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So that's all for this video. Thank you.